Hello, and welcome to the Grand Cinema Hotel, a podcast hosted by three friends who love cinema. I'm Nathan, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Gus and Alvaro. Tonight, you'll be staying in Room 112, Nightmare Alley, the latest film by visionary director Guillermo Del Toro. So go ahead, get comfortable, and throw on that Do Not Disturb sign as we jump into Nightmare Alley.
Is he man or beast?
What is going on, all you carnies? Thanks for checking back into the Grand Cinema Hotel. As always, we have a heater for you. Guillermo del Toro is back, and he's back in all his glory.
What up, guys? Gus here. Glad that this one worked out. I know with our most anticipated list, we've been having some hits and having some misses, but I'm happy to report that the boys give this 3 thumbs up.
Oh, my God. Nightmare Alley is what's up.
What about you, Ro?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Ro here. I'm really happy that this is one of my selections. I was really satisfied with the result of this movie. It was at least what I expected from it, but the more I talk about it, I think it's like really, really good.
So I know we're all GDT fans overall, right? Where do you guys think this like ranks amongst his movies?
Honestly, I think it's towards the top.
Towards the top?
Yeah, I would say so. There haven't been a whole lot of his movies that I've seen that I haven't enjoyed. But this is definitely one that, I'd put it up towards the top.
I was going to say I have a hard time guessing which is my favorite one.
Yeah.
It's probably between Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth. But if that's the case, those two in the front. And then I haven't watched Crimson Peak.
Okay. I've seen everything but the first 3. It's Kronos, Mimic, and The Devil's Backbone.
Okay.
You know what's funny is that Kronos has been on HBO Max since it launched, and it's been on my watch list, and I've just never gotten around to it. No, it'd be like that.
I have so many movies like that. Yeah, like
I wouldn't say this is his best movie, but I mean I think it's kind of obvious that Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water are better movies, and that I think Pan's Labyrinth is probably his best movie.
My personal favorite is Pan's Labyrinth.
My guilty pleasure one, even though I don't really like using that term because I don't feel guilty about liking any movie, but
Hellboy?
Is no Pacific Rim. That to me is like when I first met you. Do you remember we used to watch that movie all the time? Just get blitzed and watch Pacific Rim, and I'd be like, "This is tight." No, like
No, it's cool.
I used to recommend that movie to people. Like I remember one time when I was dating my wife at the time, we were leaving the movies and her cousin was entering the movies, and he's like, "What'd you see?" I was like, "Go see Pacific Rim." That should change my life, bro. I love that movie.
The kaijus is such a sick
Hell
concept.
yeah, the Jaegers and the kaijus. Like, come on, man, that shit is so sick. Especially like when they're in the water and they're not even like knee deep in like the deepest part of the ocean. Like, how the fuck? What the fuck?
Catching the bottom of Mariana's Trench. Like,
so sick.
That's what I was excited for. What's the main actor from Sons of Anarchy?
Oh, Charlie Hunnam. I always want to call him Jax.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I was excited and like, oh, maybe he will be in more stuff. But that's the only.
It always breaks my heart that universe never really worked out and that it was kind of taken out of his control. But he's moving on to doing better things. Obviously, I mean, after that, doing what is it? Yeah, I mean, he did Crimson Peak next, The Shape of Water, Nightmare Alley. Like, so I think he took a turn for the better.
Yeah, and I can say that's why this one I think is in my top ones. Though I think he was very ambitious for trying this movie out, especially after The Shape of Water.
Yeah,
I think you have a lot of pressure to like come out with some heat. Like,
especially because some people really do not like The Shape of Water, and they try to generalize it into be like the fish sex movie, but it's definitely not just that, you know?
And just, I feel like his ability, I mean, the fact that it seems like Nightmare Alley, the original one in the 40s, is beloved by a lot of,
It's a
film
cult
critics.
classic.
And,
Cinephiles.
So just for him to kind of take this on, I thought it was really cool.
you don't know 1947's Nightmare Alley?
Yeah, seriously. Drop that one in a conversation.
Right.
I mean, I'm generally a big fan of his movies. I mean, Blade 2, Hellboy, right? That's
Hellboy's so much fun.
You like the Hellboy
I
ones?
do.
Those are my
Nice.
guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
The Hellboy movies.
So I think it's cool that he's just staying with that original like stories that, well, I guess this isn't original, right? But just making movies that he wants to see. I know I heard him in an interview say today, and I have it quoted. Let me pull it up so I don't butcher it. But He said, I want this movie to be the modern equivalent of the movies people complain about that they don't do anymore. And I feel like
That's
really
exactly what it
did
was.
that. And this has been the year of that. Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, Edgar Wright, and now Guillermo Del Toro. And I mean, there's been more, but these are really prominent directors who most film people are aware of. And they're definitely like taking those reins and being like, I'm not just going to conform to what people want. I'm going to make what I want.
And that same interview he's talking about, he wanted to challenge himself after The Shape of Water because they asked him like, well, does this make you have pressure to like have to do something better than The Shape of Water? And he's like, no, it makes me be more ambitious. Like I covered, like, look, my best monster movie has awards, so now I have to go somewhere else.
He conquered monster movies.
He conquered it,
Yeah.
and it's like now I have to go somewhere else. And I think me as somebody who's biased to noirs, like I just like noirs. Just like this feeling that they have a lot of points of what makes this movie a noir later, but I think he really did make me feel, and I think I told you guys walking out, like I haven't seen a movie like this done in recent times in a while. And it's because the noir is very slow, and people don't like that. But I think he did an incredible job.
I do think that this film is kind of right up our alley.
Hey.
No pun intended, or maybe it was. I don't know. But I am just thankful that these directors are kind of, taking a air quotes risk in making these movies because, like we talk about, it seems like either Marvel movies or small indie movies that kind of hit nowadays, and these middle of the ground movies that directors are kind of taking a risk on don't hit.
Do any of you guys happen to have the budget on hand, or can one of you guys look that up really quick? What I wanted to show you, Rose, because you were talking about like the feeling noirs give you. It's this. It's just this picture from The Simpsons that I'm sure a bunch of people have seen. But when I think of noirs, I always think of this.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. What about you, Nate? I'm sure you've seen this picture before, right?
Yeah,
I always think about this.
exactly.
It's the guy wearing the trench coat in the shadow with the cigarette, right?
And without trying to get into it too fast, like how many scenes was Stan not smoking in?
Oh yeah, right.
Like every scene, it started with him lighting up a cigarette almost. Like,
yeah,
how
or
many
like doing
cigarettes?
really hard work and like with the cigarette in your mouth or something like that. That always makes me laugh.
Noir.
Yeah.
$19.4 million
Not
budget.
bad.
Really? That's surprising because it feels way bigger.
It's less
than
I
that,
thought
right?
it was going to be. Yes. I was expecting more like maybe 50, 60.
Man, The Last Duel was $100 million.
I know. And
then things like Eternals and like other bullshit like that costing $200 million, and not for it to not even look as good as this.
movie was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, we were talking about this right now off mic, and the only thing I would have to say that about like the visuals and all that I don't really care for is that it looked a little too polished. But that's just what Guillermo Del Toro does. Like his movies, if they're anything and you don't agree or like them, is that they're beautiful. You can't really say you can't say that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe unless I'm incorrect, I really don't think I am because of how sharp it looked, is that this had to be shot on digital. But I wish it could have been shot on film because of the themes of this movie and like the dark underbelly of America.
Mm-hmm.
I know he said he referred to this movie like it's not the reason it's a nightmare is because it's not the American dream. It's the opposite of the American dream.
Nightmare.
So I really thought if it was on film that would have added to the general theme of the movie.
The feeling to it, yeah.
Yeah, like the feeling that you get when you watch it. Especially when we watch something like Licorice Pizza.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And that really helped give you that
was a
extra
scene,
push.
Yeah, there was a scene towards the end of the movie in the third act. It was when they're out in the snow and the snow's kind of blowing around. And when we were watching, I was like, fuck. I was like, if this was film right now, this would be like one of the coolest shots I've ever seen.
If you haven't seen the trailer, imagine Jack Torrance running through the snow in the maze in The Shining, right? It's like something like that. And we all know how beautiful that looks.
Exactly.
So I know that Guillermo Del Toro, I mean, it's not that he made a wrong decision. Of course, it's a personal choice, but I would have loved to see this on film.
Yeah.
I know they're going to be showing it in black and white in LA, and that has my interest.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
actually.
we might have to make a field
That's
trip
a
and
noir,
go see that.
you know?
Yeah,
Like, that's what makes it a noir. That's like when they showed Logan in
black
black
and white.
Like that makes it.
I've never seen that, and I've always wanted to. I think it's kind of hard to find, but I've really been interested in seeing Logan in black and white.
Something that I thought was really cool about like our actual trip to see this movie was we got to see it like, a day early.
That's true.
Early
Yeah,
screening.
you're right.
And Guillermo del Toro had like a little 3 or 4 minute kind of like just talking to the audience and just saying that he was super thankful that people were able to see this and just kind of, explaining that this is a very classic movie. He had a lot of fun making it and he was super excited to see people's reception to it. I was just like, that's so cool.
You know what I thought was funny though is that he said, "I wish I was there with you right now."
I know. I was
Like,
like-
you want to be everywhere all at once?
I was like, is he going to come out? I was like,
Yeah. I know. I thought about it for a second. I was like, ooh. I was like, this would be sick.
I wish I was here with you guys. So I am. Huh?
Yeah. You know how they always have like that curtain under the screen?
Yeah.
He comes rolling out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here. So, I think it's time we dive into the
Let's
movie,
get into it, yeah.
right? Okay, so Nightmare Alley, written and directed by Guillermo Del Toro. It's co-written with Kim Morgan, which, not to be TMZ about it, but that's his partner now, right?
Yeah.
So, and they've worked together on Shape of Water. I'm not sure if they worked together before that, but
I don't remember.
they work really well together.
Yeah,
And I think,
because we did touch on that.
damn it, Nate!
I'm so
no,
sorry.
I'm just kidding. No one probably heard that.
Because we did touch on that in our most anticipated, yeah. But yeah, because this is based off of a book that was written in 1946. That
Yes,
was
by
turned in-
William Lindsay Gresham.
Exactly.
And he did mention that in the early access
He
thing.
did, and then obviously they made a movie in 1947, so this is a remake of that.
Which is a really loved movie.
Like to be on in the Criterion Collection.
Oh, yeah.
you know
That
what I
means you're
mean?
one of the quote-unquote the best
Exactly.
movies. And an interesting thing that I had saw on one of the reviews I had read, I think it was by Adam Naiman, shout out him. I really like the way he talks about movies, is that Kim Morgan did a write-up for the movie when they did the Criterion Collection. She kind of did like an essay on it. And I mean, he was kind to the movie, but he didn't think it was as good as we thought it was. So he said, like, when you think about the fact that she is so in love with the first one, and then to kind of just like miss the mark when you're actually remaking it, even though I don't personally feel that way, but that is how some people feel about the movie. It's like the first one was so good, and that this one, it's almost like you missed the point of the movie in the first place.
Interesting.
But I wonder how close it is to the source material. Like, which one is closer to the source
Right.
material? I think.
I am very curious. I know we've been talking about seeing, the original movie. So
Yeah, I joked
what
that
the
I was going to watch
differences
it
are.
before and
Yeah.
totally just ruin it, right?
Yeah. But I'm happy that we didn't, because I know we were talking about what really excited me about this movie is there seemed to be a big mystery going into it. Like, it is noir. There is some sort of, something that we're not sure about. And it went in a total different direction than I thought it was going to go. And I know we had joked about, I hope it doesn't turn into like maybe a love story or something, which it touches on that. But I was super satisfied with it. Really liked
Yeah,
it.
definitely. So, hold on, pulling up my notes one more time. I think we have to talk about what was that?
No, I was like, wait, what did you want to move?
Oh,
on
I
to?
want to start talking about the cast, because
Yeah,
the cast
cast.
is incredible in
Exactly.
this movie. I mean, Bradley Cooper is on a heater this year with his performance in
I
Licorice
think so.
Pizza and this performance, and they're so different. So it just shows you how versatile he's willing to be.
I'm officially a stan.
Here we go. What's up with the dad jokes in this podcast? I don't know why Guillermo del Toro is bringing this out of us, but you know what I thought was funny? Why didn't he do his Rocket Raccoon voice? That's what I would prefer.
Talk like this.
Yeah. Yeah, my hands don't scan. Like a California Adventure. I thought he was phenomenal in this movie.
I thought he
I
absolutely
thought the
killed
best
it.
thing that they had going for them is that he played against his type. I mean, Bradley Cooper is this handsome movie star. He's charming. He's likable. And in this movie, he really does his best to make sure you do not feel that way about him.
completely different than what he usually plays. And what I really enjoyed about his character in this movie is when it starts, he doesn't say much. He's quiet. You kind of don't really know about who he is or what's
He's
going
mysterious.
on. Exactly. And then as the film progresses, you see him like break out of his shell and just completely change as a person. Or maybe not change, but just expose who he really is, I guess.
This
So-
might sound like an obvious not criticism, but like an obvious thing, is that the way he interacts with every character in this movie, I feel like it really builds. Like it's not there. None of them are really useless interactions. Every person he talks to, a little more is revealed about him than you know before, because there's so many layers to him, and you don't really find out who he is until about like 2/3 into the movie. You find out like what he did, why he's on the run. He's a very ambitious dude, so he makes certain decisions where you're not sure if like how to take them. You know what I mean? There's one thing in particular. No spoilers. You guys want to do no spoilers?
I think we kind of keep it on the no spoilers.
Yeah, there's
side.
one thing he does in this movie that really you're questioning all the way until the end is if it was on purpose or not.
Right.
And I know we all kind of feel a little differently about whether it was on purpose or not because of kind of who he devolves into throughout the film.
Right.
But yeah, I guess
So
I'm getting off track. But I just thought that the way he interacts with every character, how just a little more is revealed about him.
I would completely agree.
I was going to say the research that I was doing, Bradley Cooper said this is his hardest part that he's ever had to do.
Oh.
He said he felt the most pressure. why I think that you feel that way is that Guillermo Del Toro was saying that he wanted to make this film like noirs were back in the 1930s. So he wanted to make Cooper feel like the star, like how they would.
Yeah, I think
Hollywood.
I saw what you were talking about.
So everything from the setting to the interaction with every character, he's in 99% of every scene in this movie. I don't think he's in any. He's not in any scene. Like he's in every shot of this movie.
I didn't even think about.
I think
that.
you're right.
Yeah.
So
maybe
that's what makes it a noir. Like he is the main. Everything revolves around him, and even like I don't think this gives out too much, but like when he walks into the devil's head.
Oh yeah, that's in the trailer.
In the trailer, yeah. And like just stuff like that, like where he's positioned, and that's where I think the visionary part of Guillermo del Toro hits more because he's so aware of the setting that you're gonna put him in, and he builds these sets.
He said he built every set
That's
around
that's
him.
what I really wanted to talk about was the set building in this movie.
And there's another point I wanted to make on before we had started talking because I think you might know some of this or you might looked into it, but like GDT is really known for. He'll storyboard his stories months before even any of the
like
people
Hitchcock.
making the sets. So I was watching one of his interviews and he was showing the book that he did for this one, and he has the drawing of the baby.
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah, there's
he's
like a what do you call them? Like pickled babies?
That's what it's called. That's what it's pickled something. And it's just he's like, this is the movie he didn't put monsters on. There's no backbone of a monster, but he's like, I had to put that in there.
Of course. Got to give his little touch, you know.
Yeah. No, the sets were in the first act of the movie takes place in this, carnival that travels from city to city. And just the carnival itself and the set pieces that they build, I just thought were so cool. There's one scene where they, like you were talking about, he goes in this it's like a hell house maze type thing, like a carnival maze. And I don't know, that set was so cool to
That's
me.
where I think what you're talking about, that being filmed in film, would make it really gritty, would make the shadows a lot darker.
I haven't looked into it too much, but I've seen I don't know which Hitchcock movie it is. It's a black and white one. It's one of his old, I know they're all old, but it's one of his oldest
Older
ones.
yeah.
And he did that movie had set design with Salvador Dali, I believe. And there's a like a dream sequence where I think it's a woman is walking. And there's all those eyes around her like there is in that shot of when the devil's mouth opens, and then it's this room that just has a bunch of different eyes looking at you. And I know that GDT absolutely loves Hitchcock.
Yeah.
He's written books on Hitchcock, and I know he's taught classes about Hitchcock and stuff like that. And this might be the closest he's gotten to doing something like that so far.
I would say so. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, he really was focused on monster movies, like Pacific Rim, big movies, and this was kind of honed in on people.
Yeah,
and definitely. I feel like that's what Hitchcock is really good at, is revealing the dark nature of humans and what humans are really capable of doing. And that's what this movie was. There are no monsters except the humans. Yeah,
I wanted to bounce off that because that's the thing that this movie, why it belongs to GDT's repertoire. So every movie before there's a monster, but there's the common theme, and this one follows it, is that the ugliest monster in the movie is man.
Yeah.
And this movie is without the backbone of fantasy that he always likes to bounce off on. So that's why I think he's ambitious for trying it this way. It's more based on the psychology of the characters and what it is to I would say this movie is almost like the pursuit of happiness. It questions what a person will do for morally right or wrong will do for the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I enjoy this movie. It's his themes are still very present, but they're presented in a different way.
It's how far will you go to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because usually his whole thing is humanizing monsters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And not showing how beautiful they are, which kind of carries into this movie too,
way,
with the world being ugly, but him still making it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's get back to the cast, because I know we kind of got off. We started talking about just him in general right there, and just the set design and stuff like that. We'll get to it. Should we talk about them in order of how he interacts with them? Because that it would be Bradley Cooper, and then we'd get to talk about Willem Dafoe, which is killing it this year. Dude, always.
Man.
He's such a magnetic screen presence. When he's on the screen, you just know okay, this is some good ass acting.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it? It may have been Dan Murrell. Shout out Dan Murrell. He's one of my favorite reviewers. He was saying, or was it Chris Stuckman? Anyways, one of my favorite two YouTube reviewers. I'll just say the point is that they had said that it's almost as if he was like such a similar character to his one in the lighthouse that if this took place like maybe 30, 40 years later, this is what that guy would be doing instead of being like a lighthouse guy. He would just be this like evil ass dude who like takes advantage of like weak men. You know what I mean? Because that is what he does in this movie. He's the leader of the carnival. Mm-hmm. He runs the geek show, which is like, what a horrible thing, right? Yeah. The only thing I've ever seen, the only way I've really ever seen that portrayed before is like the Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
But his name's Clem, and he's the leader. He gives Stan a job, and he goes to great lengths to entertain people. And he has a dark side to him, including taking World War I veterans off the street and giving them opium-induced alcohol that turns them into beasts.
Yep.
Like, that's how far this guy's willing to go just to give somebody a good show.
To him, people are disposable. Like,
yeah,
he really
and
does
you
not
really
care.
get that.
We get speeches from him.
You know, we're
where he
talking about
shows
the pickled babies. I mean, that just goes to show you how disposable people are.
Yeah, he really just doesn't care. Like, he cares about making a buck.
But he's actually, I'm not going to say he's like a good guy, but he takes Bradley Cooper in and he gives him a job and he helps turn his life around. Not that he necessarily deserves it the more you learn about him, but
yeah, we do see a different
he puts him on a path, and that's like the whole point of his character, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed.
And then we have, who does he meet? He meets Rooney Mara.
Rooney, yeah.
Yeah, she plays Molly Cahill. She's a fellow carny. She does like an electric woman act. It's
pretty cool.
They call her Electra.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? You know when like you were a kid and you would go to someone's house and they have like that electric ball.
That's
you put your
exactly
hands
it.
on
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
I was always so scared of those things. I was like, there's no way that doesn't shock you. But she has that act. And the one thing I'll say about the cast in like a negative way is that I thought her character didn't get enough to do.
I was going to say that I think she was completely underutilized.
Yeah, and it doesn't have anything to do with Rooney Mara herself. I just think it's the way the character was written. And I guess it makes sense when you, in the context of the movie, but when you have an actress like Rooney Mara, I think you should use her as much as possible.
Because that is my biggest complaint of the movie is I felt like second act when, I mean, I don't think this is a big spoiler, but her and Bradley Cooper have a relationship, okay? I think they could have, explored that a little more. Like, it felt like, okay, they're just together because, like, they're together. You know what I mean? It felt a little
I did
empty.
think that the movie kind of had that vibe to it where, and I think, yeah, Guillermo Del Toro said he's like in certain noirs or in older movies, people fall in love and then they don't even question it in the movie. It's like, okay, they're in love and then move on. The story moves on. It's not about why they fall in love or how.
Because this movie, you're totally right. It was not about that. Like, it really didn't play a huge part in it. But I think if maybe they would have done a little more, it could have gone even further maybe. But, not a big detriment to the movie.
But I did think she gave a good performance. I just think her character didn't have agency.
I think
she was going along for the ride, really. She wasn't a mover or a shaker, you know what I mean? She wasn't making her own moves. She was just going along with Bradley Cooper.
She was flying by his coattails for a while.
Yeah.
I found an interesting anecdote from her when they were filming this movie with her. So they had to stop production in the middle because of COVID.
Did she get COVID or something?
No, so when they recorded like the first half that they had done, when this isn't giving out too much, but he's chasing her in the train station.
Yeah.
And so remember she goes through a door. Mm-hmm. So Guillermo Del Toro was saying that they recorded her going, like opening the door and then like going through it, they cut, right? Mm-hmm. And the 6 months passed. But then Rooney Mara came up to her after that scene, he's like, don't tell anybody, but I'm pregnant. So then when she came back after the 6 months, 'cause I guess she was like 4 months pregnant, so she had the baby. She was like, so she was pregnant when she went into the scene. Then when we recorded again, she was not pregnant.
Shit. That's crazy. I think it's crazy that these movies could shut down for so long and then pick right back up and it not negatively affect the movie.
Seamless
really.
almost.
I think actually he did like comment on that, and I think this is why is like he's like I edited the first part of what I did have in the movie, and he's like, and I had Stan's footage from the beginning to the end, so I knew where we were starting and where I wanted to end. So then I edited everything, and I was like, okay, what do I need? And I think that might have helped.
You know how you were saying about the storyboards? Mm-hmm. I think just like Hitchcock, it's like right when you know what you're gonna do and you're sold on it, like this is how we're gonna go about this. It's that preparation of like, I don't have any second guesses. Like Hitchcock used to say, I already made the movie. I just need to get the actors to do it. Right. But the movie's already made. I know how it's going to end, and I just think it's cool that the production, well, it's not cool that the production shut down, but it's cool that it picked up so seamlessly and it doesn't affect the movie at all. It doesn't feel like it's two parts.
I didn't know that. I would have never known that.
No, yeah.
I just think that's what makes him a good director. Yeah. That's what makes him a good director.
The last thing I want to say about her, actually, before we move on, is that I think the part of her character is to be like a moral compass for Stan because he obviously doesn't have one. But ultimately she fails
because she does give him options to kind of do the right thing and
no spook shows.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, and spook shows takes us to our next two characters. Is Tony Collette and his name. Oh my god! I'll probably get his name wrong, but it's Peter like Strahan.
It's David Strahan, and then played
Tony
by,
Collette.
And Tony Collette.
Pete is his name in the movie.
His character is Peter.
That's it. Yeah. So they play Pete and Xena, and they're mentalists who teach Bradley Cooper the ways of his act.
I really liked their chemistry together.
That was my complaint. Is that Tony Collette doesn't have more time?
Yeah,
she always deserves one.
She does.
And she got robbed for Hereditary. She should have won Best Actress.
She should have. But no, I really liked David as Peter in this movie. I thought he played a really good role. He is probably honestly the most important part to what unfolds in this movie. He kind of opens the door for Bradley Cooper, and Bradley Cooper takes advantage of that. It's just cool. I really like. He
follows we find out that Stan has a problem with older men, and unfortunately for Pete, he's an older man. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But they teach Stan like his act, and they kind of tell him like this. They have like a book that they use where like this like ingenious code of like how to read people,
like he created
how to make it seem like you're actually like a psychic or something like that. And they tell him like this book has power and it's dangerous, and if you use this the wrong way, like you're really gonna fuck some people up. And that's one of the themes of this movie is how you can take advantage of people, kind of similar to Benedetta.
Right, exactly. And I think it kind of plays into. I mean, this man is broken at this point. Peter in this movie, like he's a drunk, he's an alcoholic, and it seems like he's fallen on harder times.
His best days are behind him.
Exactly.
Xena's trying to get him to stop because there's a commentary on the movie that like everybody knows that she doesn't want anybody to give him more alcohol. And we get a scene where he's begging Willem Dafoe's character to be like, "Come on, just one more." And Willem's like, "All right, but just don't tell Xena that I gave you some." And it's because he's well liked, his character too, throughout the whole circus.
I think that like I was saying, just going back to the fact that he is a drunk and stuff, like you said, it does show that there's power to this book, and this might be the result of what happens when you play with this power.
Yeah, and maybe that's why he turns like the old man as an alcoholic, is because all these years of fucking people over and lying to people, it probably starts to get at you. And we see how it turns out for mentalists, which is not good.
Yeah,
that's such an old timey thing, right?
Mentalism.
Yeah, imagine thinking like, wow, people must have been so stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, guys.
No, I mean we get shown in the movie just how easy it is. It's just dumb. It's not like we get our little. It's just a circus trick for a reason.
I think they even say in the movie like people fool themselves. Like people want to believe and they lean into it.
Which is why we get the term spoof fest. Be like, don't. Like give people false hope. Like it's just a show. But
you know what? There's a line in the movie that's really good, and it's like, "Isn't this lying to people?" And it's like, well, it's only lying if you give them hope. And there's no hope there. Like that's a lie. Sometimes it is good to comfort someone, like a small white lie. But
he said, "What's the difference between what we do and what priests do?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is what he says.
Because I think one of the cool parts of the movie is, I mean, the main part of the movie, honestly, is you have this mentalism aspect, and the Peter character is saying like he does small things like what's in my hand, what am I holding, and they kind of like play off that, and he says you don't want to get into the whole like let's talk to dead relatives, like all that kind of stuff that gives people like these false hopes and
seances,
exactly,
and all that
like
type of stuff, talking to the dead,
the type of stuff that can really get you into some weird places, and that's kind of where Bradley Cooper and him split,
because there's like proof of like if you connect with them and they want to see you after, just tell them the truth. Like, hey, like what, like just try to get them off you. Like
it's an act, buddy.
Yeah. He resonated with you for a reason, but it's just an act.
I don't have too much to say about this guy, but we got to mention Ron Perlman. He's a collaborator of Guillermo Del Toro. So whether the role is big or small, kind of like how Samuel L. Jackson will do anything for Quentin Tarantino. I feel like Ron Perlman is the same thing for Guillermo Del Toro.
Yeah, and he didn't add anything crazy to the movie, I don't think, but I mean, it's good to see his face.
Yeah, I always like seeing him.
I think what they did help. I don't know the actor of the shorter character. He's like they were part of Rooney Mara's family, and it just shows kind of like what you were talking about, moral compass. Like they're ready to protect her. They're good people. They care for Rooney Mara's character. A lot of the people at the circus do.
They can smell Stan's bullshit from a mile away.
He tells them like I knew her dad, and like I don't think her dad would fuck with you, basically.
Because he sees the red flags before maybe even we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He's just a father figure for her mostly, but he's not like anything too crazy. He's not really part of the plot or anything like that. But it's just nice to see him.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I always like seeing him in GDT's work. I like him as the problematic, to say the least, character that he plays in
Sons of Anarchy?
No. Is he Mr. Chow or whatever in Pacific Rim? He's like all decked out in the Asian gear. And he like,
I forgot about that.
Dude, I did too.
yeah,
You're right, that
Wow.
shit's weird.
but that's a funny role.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I mean, funny in a weird way. I mean, now looking back on it, you're like, yeesh, it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if you do that again, right?
Yeah, it's like the homie from Licorice Pizza. What are you doing?
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, man. So
After this, we get Cate Blanchett.
we get Cate Blanchett and we get Richard Jenkins, but the reason we get this is because, and it's in the trailer, so it's not really giving too much away, but that Rooney Mara and Bradley Cooper start their own act.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool, interesting little fun fact I learned about that is that he starts to go by the Great Stanton. And then if you've seen The Prestige, which I know we all have, I
Great
fucking
movie.
love that.
Great
movie.
fucking
That's probably
movie.
one of my favorite
It's-
Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah.
He goes by the Great Danton, Hugh Jackman's character, and it's a direct like homage to the original Nightmare Alley.
Stanton
So
Danton.
there you go. Even Christopher Nolan likes that movie. Like
cool.
everybody likes the original movie.
Yeah.
People like to take from it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it just goes. It's just that film language that you start to see over in movies again.
I did really like Cate Blanchett's character. In this.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to her right now.
Yeah.
She is amazing. She's beautiful in this
Yep.
movie. She's like a perfect classic femme fatale.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's what I was gonna
She's
say.
so powerful in this movie.
The way that Bradley Cooper's character pays homage to males in old cinema, she is the equivalent of femme fatale homages to the noir.
And
genre.
she may be even more dangerous than Stan is.
Yeah, like what I loved. I mean, I honestly, I know you and I talked about it, Ro, but she was my favorite character in this movie.
For sure.
I loved her. I mean, everybody phenomenal. Bradley Cooper phenomenal, but Cate Blanchett, I just loved her. She knocked it out of the park. But you just get like, there's a scene where she's a psychiatrist in this movie, a doctor. And she's kind of breaking down Bradley Cooper. She wants him to open up, and she's like, let me read you, kind of thing. And at the time, like, he's this, has this mentalism power, and he thinks that he can, he has his power over
He's on top of
people.
the world right now.
Exactly. And then you just watch her like dissect this man and bring him back down to, earth. I just thought, I love that.
And
scene.
one of the videos I watch, like behind the scenes type of stuff, is that she is like, for Stan and vice versa. Is she an adversary? Is she a lover? Is she an opponent?
You don't
Is she a
know.
partner? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they play so many different roles for each other. Like, they play off each other in so many different ways.
And it's not like that changes scene by scene. That changes like sentence by sentence.
Yeah.
Which I just think is so cool.
She really knows how to wield her. Like, if you think Stan knows how to wield people's minds, she really knows how to.
Yeah. Like she is.
And from the beginning, she's there to disprove him that he's not really who he says he is, because I mean, obviously he's not. Come on.
Right. You can't read people's minds, bro.
The dynamic between her and Bradley Cooper's character, I think, is what it makes both of their roles excel. I was looking at GDT talk about the scene where they first meet, and he's in his own stage, and she gets Rooney Mara's character to stop talking because she's catching on that it's just the way that.
Coded language.
But this is where his director style, why people love working with GDT, but he's he made it like a battle, literally, because Bradley Cooper's character is standing and he starts moving around the whole room, kind of like how a tiger would with another tiger. And but he's like, but I'm trying to get it to where you're confused. Is this who is superior, or is this also a love dance? Also, who is in command of this conversation? And that's why Stan's walking around her, just like how an animal would prey on another one. And I just thought stuff like that
sizing
is
each other
really
up.
cool. They're sizing
And
each other.
that's what that first scene with them really is.
Yep. And I just he takes the dominance in that scene by guessing what she has in her bag without any help. It's proving to her, I am better than you think I am. But in the long game, we obviously see otherwise.
One of the main themes between those two characters is a line that's in the trailer, is about how, what does he say? He's like, people are easier to read than you think. And that's kind of the main point of those two characters. That's their common bond.
Both of them
is that
think
people
that.
are easier to they both know how to
manipulate
and dissect people. Yeah, and that's kind of why they have that, like, is it attraction? Is it like an adversarial thing?
Yeah.
And it plays out the way it does, which is fucking awesome.
Because they do really peacock for each other, which is cool.
Yeah, they're the two best
Peacock is
performances. Like, those two really carry this movie. And in my personal opinion, the movie takes off when Cate Blanchett shows up.
Yep. I agree.
I would argue to say that she's just as much a star of this movie as Bradley Cooper is.
Yeah.
For sure, those two are leaps and bounds above everybody else. Like, they when they had their little brain blast of creativity, it was going to those two characters for sure.
Those are the leads, I would say. She has significantly less screen time than him, but definitely those.
Oh,
are the
she
leads.
wields it though. That's some powerful time.
That's like the time that she does have. She commands the screen.
And just going back to like talking about the set design and everything, her fucking office, like her
my
psychiatrist's
God.
office was so well done. I thought.
Let's talk about Richard Jenkins, and then we'll get into set designs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because Richard Jenkins is the
I like
main
him too.
Antagonist of this movie.
He's killing it
I
right
think.
now too.
Yeah, he's killing it right now. Always.
Yeah.
Richard Jenkins is always killing it.
Yeah.
But The Humans, and he was in Nightmare Alley, obviously. He was in The Shape of Water, and I feel like that was a really great performance for him as well.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, I really liked him in that movie. His name is Ezra Grindle, and they never really get into too much of who he is, but he's a powerful man in Chicago, and he wishes to speak to his long-lost illegitimate lover, who he... Never mind. His long-lost illegitimate lover, right? Like, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. So, yeah, comma period. And Cate Blanchett's character introduces Stan to him, and like, can I really say? I don't know.
He's a powerful man, and he's seeking Bradley Cooper's
For his skills.
ability, right?
Yeah.
And he wants to use it to,
He's also trying to find out if it's bullshit or not.
right. Yes, exactly.
Because they go to a high extent to make sure that he likes taking pride in exposing people
I think
that
he
they're
says
not.
I'm a man who like doesn't like to be fooled or
'cause
something like
it's
that.
almost, I took it as, it's almost implied that he seeks these people out, and when they fail his like tests or whatever he wants to do to
exposes them.
he might. I mean,
Or you think
maybe
kill
he
them?
kills him. I don't
Yeah,
know.
who
Like,
knows?
It's a big,
'Cause
He's such a mysterious character.
which I honestly think worked very well. Like, I think maybe if they would have given a lot more of it, I don't know. I like that we didn't get a whole big reveal for him.
And he does have the power dynamic is there because he has like his bodyguard, and his bodyguard tells him like, I'm ready to defend this man. Like, I'll kill you over this.
Do you have the
man.
bodyguard's name?
Yeah, his name was Anderson, and he's played by Holt McCallany. The dude, he's a
You know him from Mindhunter.
Bill from Mindhunter. He's an animal too. I love him.
I told you guys that if they ever made a good Ghost in the Shell, like a live one, that guy would play the I don't know the character's name, but it's like a Motoko's partner, and he wears the glasses.
The dude with the glasses
And I'm
and
like,
the
that
white
guy,
hair.
perfect for him, like perfect casting.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah,
I've
he
always
does.
really liked his voice.
He
does have
does.
a good voice.
Yeah, and he has a powerful presence as well when he's on screen.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I feel like everybody but Rooney Mara got a fair shake in this movie.
I know.
But I think it has to do with the story overall.
And like, even talking about it now, I'm kind of like, maybe they kind of leave her in the weeds because to emphasize Cate Blanchett's character. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
it makes
so,
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? There's
one more character I wanted to bring up.
Who do
But
you
I
wanna
don't know
bring
if it,
up?
like I wanted to just because the Step Brothers reunion. I wanted to bring up Mary Steenburgen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
The two parents from Step Brothers are in this movie.
The scene that she's in, I really that's like when you talked about, because you were sitting in between me and Nate, like that's you saw both of us jump out of our like seat,
Getting
like
sandwiched by the
my
boys.
God.
the whole audience went, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, that's
I
when
know. I felt like two hands on me. Like, what the fuck happened?
that's when the movie took like a turn of when GDT likes to mix his genres. We're getting a drama so far. We're getting this noir.
He has these crazy, just like adrenaline shots of violence in his movies. And I won't get into what this one is.
Yeah.
But like in The Shape of Water, when Michael Shannon shoots, is it Michael Stuhlbarg? Are they both named Michael? Anyways, when he shoots that character in the face and he's dragging him through the rain by the gash in his face. Or like in Pan's Labyrinth, is it the scene when he cuts himself with the razor?
Yep.
Yeah, like he just has these shots. It's like, wake up!
Yeah.
Like,
It's like,
were you
holy
bored?
shit.
Because you're not
Yeah.
now.
Because like the way that I'm taking this movie, it's like it starts off slow. It's like you're going like 20 miles an hour, and then it kind of picks up, and by the time that the scene that we're talking about, you're going 120 miles an hour. Like that
Yeah.
shit is flying.
I did think the movie, not that it dragged, it did feel its runtime. I will say that.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
a
thought
good
that
way.
the second half was just like an adrenaline shot compared to the first.
It was.
I think the second, the middle act. So I think the first act is good.
Mm-hmm.
It does all the world building. It's necessary. I felt like the second act, especially with like the love story and all that.
That's why I feel like maybe if they would have explored it a little more, maybe it would have been better. Because I did feel that the second act dragged a little bit.
Yeah, it may have been too cliche.
I wouldn't even say maybe dragged, but it wasn't the rest of the film, I guess.
It was dragging ass compared to the other two acts. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but it ends very strongly, and it's definitely satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when that third act hits, you're like, okay, I'm white knuckled, I'm leaning up, like, what's gonna happen next?
Dude, and just the finale, like, I mean, I won't say anything about the last scene, but by the time that the last couple minutes happened, I'm just like, my mouth was wide open. I was like, oh,
the ending was cathartic.
Shit. It was.
It was like one last big breath of like, this was a good time.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
You guys want to get back into the set design?
Yeah,
because I know you had the point about her office. So do you remember what you were gonna say?
I was just gonna say that I really liked it. I thought it was really cool, and just like there's a part like where she has this big recorder and it kind of pops out of the wall. It was just so cool.
She's so mysterious that she even has trapdoors in her office.
She has she has buttons under all these different like chairs and tables to start a recording, and like I don't know, you can just tell that
it's a small detail, but my favorite piece of set design is the chair and the ashtray. That's a cool ashtray, right? It was like a tall stand, and it was weighted, almost like our microphone stands. Mm-hmm. And then it had like a beautiful like bowl piece on top. I was like, "Ooh, I need that. I need that."
Yeah. It was so cool.
And even the couch, like her therapist couch, I really like that.
But just like so, what you were talking about earlier, like how you said when you had the scene where they first meet Bradley Cooper and Kate Blanchett, and he's kind of pacing around the room. And then when you go into her office and he's sitting down and she's kind of taking command of the room and pacing around him and sizing him up.
This is my cage.
You're in her layer. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just thought it was so good.
And then one thing I want to say about The Office, because I don't want to forget to say it, is he said a lot of the buildings, or like he wanted all the interiors to feel like they are alleys as well. Makes and like sense. That's why her office is like so deep as it is. And like it's just like a long rectangle.
Very narrow. Yeah,
it's very narrow, but long like an alley. And there's a lot of other shots in the movie where he wanted the interiors to feel like that. Like you're staring down this long nightmare alley.
And like half of her office is windows to the outside, which is like an alley.
And they're so gorgeous at night too. Like
the snow.
Yeah. What I feel like I've noticed in the past with Guillermo Del Toro's movies is that there's a certain color of like this blue green that he really likes to use. And I think which one is it? It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie with Cary Grant, To Catch a Thief, I believe, where it's I gotta think that's where he got that color from, because it's like this greenish blue.
Yeah. Okay.
Very oceany, almost like like a sea foam or something like that. But
he uses that color a lot in The Shape of Water.
Yeah, and he really used it. Yeah, of course, because it fits so perfectly.
Like even the machines, the color of the machines where they're working at is that color.
Yeah, exactly. The car, right? Mm-hmm. It's not blue, it's green. And then he had he had a specific color for the car, remember?
He even said what it was.
Yeah, because the salesman had told him.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
So I just thought her office was beautiful. I thought the set design was obviously gorgeous. There's no wasted screen space in this movie. That's for sure.
There's really not.
Another interesting thing I had learned from him, and it's just more of his like homages to Hitchcock, is that the opening shot of the carnival is open to the one on almost shot for shot to the one on in Strangers on a Train.
Okay.
Because that movie starts with the carnival.
I have not seen Strangers on a Train.
Mysterious noir aspect to it in the beginning.
It's cool.
Yeah, I just thought that was really cool.
Just regarding the set design, I was going to talk about stuff that I found out. So he likes getting his stuff off eBay. So like he literally will start looking at just like whatever they have on eBay. Like a lot of the stuff that's like on there. Like I think the ashtray.
Is it like vintage Americana? Like
because they asked. It's funny because this is an interview he did with Jimmy Kimmel, because Jimmy was asking him like what do you what's your search? Like what do you look up? He's like, well, it just depends what I'm looking for. Like if I'm looking for like pickled like a pickled jar, like I'll look at that and then I'll find something like vintagey for cheap, and I think that's why there's so many little things like that. Ashtray might simply be something that somebody had,
Yeah, like at an estate sale or
they
something.
He's like the director's version of a thrifter.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
American Pickers. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to comment on that I really like about this movie, because being biased to noirs, like I said, so there's a lot of scenes like when Kate Blanchett gets introduced, we get the spotlight on her, and like you get the spotlight from behind. So when you record it from the front, it looks like there's an aura behind you, there's a glow, and like, you're standing out in this scene. And that's how they used to do it in noirs. It's very like vintage classic Hollywood to light things that way. I really, really enjoy that. And then I think we talked about off camera like how much they smoke. And that's
of
what
course.
And like
you gotta have smokes.
Yeah.
got like almost every scene he's like lighting up a cigarette.
They went full Benedict Cumberbatch with the cigarettes in this movie.
Yeah. Huh. Surprisingly, no tobacco poisoning on this set. Not that I know of. Weird how you can still make a good movie and you don't have to poison yourself. Crazy. Try acting, my boy.
You can make a good movie.
You know what's funny is that, you know how we talked about how we're in the minority on Power of the Dog, is that I'm sure you might have seen this is Ro, since you were doing so much research, is that he just did an interview with Jane Campion talking about how much he loved her movie.
Really? Yeah.
Like, I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm like everybody
Whatever.
likes it, but hey, that's cool.
Whatever.
To each their own.
I don't mind being
Hey,
wrong
to
on
each
that
their
one.
own. Whatever. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention is it was about the set designs. It was something you guys had just brought up. What were you guys just talking about?
I was talking about it being eBayed.
You know what it is? It doesn't have anything to do with the movie. Have you guys ever seen his like special house that he has? It's just full of a bunch of collectibles.
I have not seen that.
Like suits of armor, like the big Frankenstein heads.
That's
like,
badass.
Just a whole he has like a secret compartment like where you open it up and you walk into a giant library that's just filled with a bunch of books
That's
and
fucking
manga,
awesome.
and he collects figures.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he's given people access to the house before for like tours and stuff like that, and it's just like he says it's his mind in a house.
That's sick. It's like his little museum.
And like that's why he has like so many compartments and trap doors, because it's like an analogy for his mind.
That's
you
so
know, like,
cool.
oh, you might go down this little compartment and it's manga and anime like Pacific Rim, or you go down this one and it's comic books like Hellboy. You know,
Hey GDT, you should let us.
you should invite the Grand Cinema. We'll interview you there. Yeah, I mean,
on.
hey, I'm a fellow Mexican if that helps.
He said they asked him what he did with the baby. He's like, it's in my house. I see it every day.
Creeper. He said he sits and watches movies and it's right next to like a big giant statue of Reagan from The Exorcist.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, that's the kind of
He's sick.
Are you a sicko? I'd be like,
He has this cool little thing that I learned from him today too. It doesn't have really much to do with what we're talking about, but just in terms of how much he loves just movies and American culture, because he's Mexican. They talked about like how many sitcoms did you get in Mexico that were American. He's like, not much. He's like, but we used to watch Columbo a lot. But then he goes like, he's like, we used to visit Europe with my family every once in a while. He's like, and I remember one time we were, I think he said somewhere in North Europe, and they were like locked in this beautiful plot. And he's like, we watched Columbo the whole time. Because he's like, we can go look at this beautiful scenery. He's like, no, let's just watch Columbo. And that just like shows his
powerful
love.
stuff.
Yeah, his love for like, you know, nostalgia that he has for things, or how much visuals, movies, shows mean to him. And I think that's why he's really good at his craft.
Awesome. I love him, man. I really do.
I did want to bring this up. His cinematographer is Dan Louston, who worked with him on The Shape of Water and Crimson Peak. Hey, I'm looking at IMDb. You will not believe what he worked on.
It's Extraordinary
The League of Extraordinary
Why does that
Gentlemen.
movie keep coming up?
Gas. No. Let me revisit that before I'm willing to say that.
Yeah, like, I need to see that again.
I really loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so they have a nice, like, that's probably where some of the beauty comes from. Obviously, it comes from the cinematographer as well, and Guillermo Del Toro, but that working relationship they have, those last three movies looking just so pristine and perfect. Got to give some shout outs to Dan Louston.
Yeah,
So,
dude. It just
big shout out to him.
You can tell they're really on the
That's
same
a combination too that I want to bring up of the cinematographer and set design. There's a lot of circles in this movie, and I think that also plays the part what basically ends up happening with the movie. It's a full circle of what we get with the character. He, you know, just little things that obviously they had to discuss. There's like so. I
This
always find those
story is
little
very
details.
cyclical.
Yeah,
I believe that's
cyclical.
the right word,
Yep.
right?
Cyclical, yeah.
And so, yeah, the whole circle theme is something that really plays out in this
I
movie.
kept thinking at the end of the movie, I just kept thinking about True Detective season 1. He's like, time is a flat circle.
Was it? I think I'd mentioned it to you when we were riding in the car about this movie being like the anti-hero's journey instead of the hero's journey, because it literally hits every mark.
And what I like about this movie is you have a lot more bad people than you do have good. Like, there really is no you know.
Nah, there's not necessarily a good person.
There's no
in this
like
movie.
protagonist. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So it was really cool.
I do have a quote I wanted to bring up. Let me see. I think I have it here. Okay, so it's Guillermo Del Toro on Noir, right? Noir isn't about Venetian blinds and a husky voiceover in a dimly lit street. It's not about a dame smoking under a spinning fan. Those are cliches. Those are the Coca-Cola commercials of noir. What I understand to be noir is the real grittiness that comes out of American realism. Those films that channel the same spirit as George Bellows or Edward Hopper or Thomas Hart Benton. It's poetry of disillusionment and existentialism. The tragedy that emerges between the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots are trying to breach their ambition through violence and ultimately worshiping a hollow god, which is money. So therefore, it's literally an exploration of the flip side of the American dream.
Yep. Nice.
And he's got to be him or Guillermo Del Toro and Quentin Tarantino are my two favorite directors to listen to about movies. Like Quentin Tarantino made me fall in love with movies in a different way, but the way Guillermo Del Toro, like the poetic way that he talks about movies, you can't help but like just love him. You know,
you would never question that English is his second language.
Yeah,
the way that he talks about.
Yeah,
movies.
I get you on that. You can feel his love for movies, which is what I really like out of a director, because someone, not to throw shots here, for Ridley Scott to catch a stray, but I feel oppositely about how Ridley Scott goes about his movies. Like, we just do it and it's over.
And if you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Him and Logan Roy, right? With
yeah.
Scottish dudes, quick to tell you fuck off, right?
No, it's almost like, I mean, I agree with you. It's like Ridley Scott's kind of like a pissed off old man, and Guillermo del Toro is like,
let me tell you
the
why I
grandpa
love
that you
cinema.
really love. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Like, I want to be taught a class by Guillermo del Toro.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would just listen to him talk about movies for hours. And I did that after Shape of Water.
He is 100% pure passion, and it shows in his movies. Like, you can tell he really fucking cares about what he's putting out.
Yeah. Earlier on the Grand Cinema Instagram, I had posted a video of Quentin Tarantino in the 90s talking about, like, if you really love movies and you're passionate about it, you don't got to know shit about cameras. You don't got to know shit about acting. You'll make a good movie if you're that in love with movies. And I feel that way about Guillermo del Toro. Not that he doesn't know what he's doing. Of course he does.
Right.
But that he can't help himself but to want to make a good movie.
Exactly. This is his calling.
Yeah, I really don't think he's really had any big misses, to be honest. I mean, I haven't seen the first three, so I can't say.
I would agree. Like, I haven't, like you said, haven't seen him, but everything that he's done, I've loved for different reasons. You know what I mean?
And don't you dare call Pacific Rim a miss.
It's not.
It's not
definitely not.
It's definitely different than a lot of his other ones, but it's still super enjoyable.
It's better than Transformers.
Fuck
like,
yeah,
and that's
it
the
is.
only thing I could compare it to, because giant robots punching.
I do feel,
right?
Rob, they were never going to get the...
Oh, Pacific Rim meets Godzilla versus Kong.
Yep.
Yeah,
That'd be
I know.
incredible.
The Jaegers would whoop their ass. Oh, man. Was it... It's like Gypsy Danger or something like that. That's
Yep.
the one that fucking Jax pilots, right?
Gypsy Danger.
It's something like that, but
I think you're right.
oh man, I
That's
fucking
a
love that
cool-ass
one.
name.
We should talk about that one. I don't know. Hey guys, you want to hear about a pod about Pacific Rim? DM me. I might hit you on the side.
The episode nobody asked for, but you need it.
Yeah. Hey, you don't know you need any of these until
That
you
might
hear
be
them.
the underground level 001.
We might have to hit you in the motel with that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man,
Man,
I had a really good time in this movie, as you can tell.
Not my favorite part about this movie, but like my favorite part about us like talking about this movie and stuff was the day after. We were at work, Gus, and you got in the car at lunch with me, and you were like, "So, like, day after, how do you feel about that movie?" And I was like, "I fucking love that movie." You're like, "I did too," and I was like, "Yeah, dude, it really was just, it was so much fun. Like, this really is a movie that you can bring anybody to, and it's a lot of fucking fun. Like, I know.
I've been thinking, like, I'm gonna tell like my mom to see this movie or something like that.
This,
Like, I think you'll like this.
This is, I mean, we say this about some movies sometimes, but like this was a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really was.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, this is the year of the directors being like, I'm gonna make what I want to make and what I miss seeing. So good on you.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, because you had mentioned before how he said he made this movie because it's the type that they don't make anymore.
Yeah.
And by that, it's like make a time period look very cinematic. That is not cinematic. It's very gritty and dirty. And it's heavy adult drama and expansive and detailed.
Yeah.
And that's what's classic about like noirs. I had some like closing thoughts too on I just wrote down like basically what the movie's about. And I'd written down, just like a classic noir, this movie comments about the now regarding the truth, lies, and understanding reality. This movie examines the personality of a man and how deep the range of good and bad we can be, and truly who we are. The balance between being pragmatic and moral. The story pushes you to question human nature and what people will do for the pursuit of happiness. If they don't know themselves and don't understand the proper recipe of happiness, they can hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. How low will you go for personal gain? That's a question this movie
Low.
asks. Yeah, that's a question this movie
movie,
asks
low.
and answers. Yeah.
We know what some people would do for $1 million.
Hey.
Inside jokes are the best here at the Grand Cinema Hotel.
You might have to sub to the Patreon to hear that one day. If we ever have a Patreon, I'll tell you that story.
That's so fucking funny.
That'll be worth $5.
I own that shit too. I don't even care.
You wouldn't?
Oh man, he's gonna take that one to his grave, isn't
Oh
he?
my god, it's me on my tombstone.
Oh man,
Holy
I think it's time to start wrapping it up. Yeah.
I think so too, man.
The last thing I will say is that so I thought it was a little slow in the beginning, but I thought it really picked up, and I think the ending just puts a little bow on top of this movie, right? And I think it's such a satisfying ending, and that's really how I felt walking out of it. It was just like, good time. I had a good time, and that's, I mean, like I tell you guys, my ratings are more off of feelings than any other technical bullshit about a movie. And I felt good. I mean, not his best, because I think that's Pan's Labyrinth.
His best
and Shape
is
of Water.
like
Amazing.
the best. Like
Yeah.
it's up there with some of the better
Yeah,
movies
definitely.
of all time.
But I just think we've fallen in love with, like, his best is his marquee trademark monsters. And because we don't get that anymore. We
He
don't get
glorifies something that normally isn't.
we don't get Monsters of the Blue Lagoon anymore, and like that's Shape of Water. That's what it is. It's that monster that has a deeper meaning than something that old.
The reviewer I was talking about, Adam Naiman, he said that Guillermo Del Toro makes A movies out of B movie material.
that's facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to describe
He
it.
takes things that shouldn't be good or are just like schlock or camp or, whatever, insert word here, and then he makes it like something beautiful.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's just like, that's really what he does more than anybody else, I think, is he makes things beautiful.
And it's just crazy. I mean, he pumps so much emotion to his movies. It's impressive.
Because of what Gus was saying, like he just loves movies. He can't help but make a good movie, and I think that's the same thing you compared them, QT and him have in comparison. They like these movies that people think are terrible, or that the concepts are just too small, and then they know how to turn them into a good movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think my closing thoughts on this movie are, I think anybody would enjoy this movie. This is a great one to go take anybody to. People that are like cinephiles and that really dive deep into movies, I think you're going to find a lot that you love. And for people that just want to have a good time and see something, entertaining, great movie for that too. So I think this has a little bit for everybody. Highly recommend you go see it while it's in theaters. It was really fun on the big screen.
Yeah.
This is a good one to see. So yeah.
One last thing I want to say is that it's a love letter to movies, and I feel like all of his movies, that's what he does. Beauty, and it's a love letter to cinema.
I love it. What do you guys rate this movie?
The more I talk about damn, I had put it down as a 4 out of 5. The more I talk about it, I think this movie, you asked me a year from now, it might be in my favorite movies. The more I talk about it, the more I see it, the more unique it is to me.
I'm going to go see it again. I'm going to take my wife because she loves Guillermo Del Toro.
Right.
She doesn't know directors the way I do, obviously. She just, she knows who Quentin Tarantino is. She knows who Paul Thomas Anderson is, mostly because I can't shut up about it. But Guillermo Del Toro is her guy. I guarantee you, if I go in the other room, on any given day, she might be watching Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth. Those are like her 2 favorite movies. So I'm going to take her to see this. And I think my opinion will probably even get higher.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Dan Murrell, what he had said about this movie was that the first time he watched it, it was a mystery. The second time he watched it, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion where you know what's going to happen and you're like, no, no, yeah. But you're just an observer and you have to go along
That sounds like
for
a
the ride.
great way to describe it, honestly.
Yeah, so I give it a 4 out of 5 as well.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to hit it with a 4. 4 pickled babies out of 5.
4 pickled babies out of 5. I love that.
Do we have a code word?
I think, damn, that should be the code
Pickled
word.
babies.
Pickled
I like
babies.
pickled babies.
Okay. Oh man. So DM us pickled babies at the Grand Cinema Hotel on Instagram if you've made it this far into the
We're
episode.
going to end up on a list.
Yeah, Jesus. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. Goes a long way. We love all the support we've been getting. And thanks for checking in. We're checking out. Bye.
Hey, happy
Bye.
holidays. Bye, guys.